Welcome to the Productive Life podcast hosted by me, Megan Mins. This is the podcast for entrepreneurs who want to be more productive in their business and their personal life. Because as a business owner, your business and personal life are connected, and we can't talk about one without talking about the other. Each week, you'll learn about productivity, organization, personal development, self-care, business strategies, and more. And now, let's get started. Welcome to this episode of the Productive Life podcast. I'm Megan Mins, and I'm so excited for today's episode. We are talking all about how my team uses Asana. Asana is a project management system that we have been using for years. Any other time where I experiment with another project management system, I always end up coming back to Asana. In fact, I even have an older podcast episode that shares why I switched back from ClickUp to Asana. So if you want to know more about that, you could, of course, listen to that episode. But today I'm going to share a little bit about how we structure our Asana, how we use teams and projects to stay organized. I'm going to be talking about how we actually structure our projects within Asana, how you could use sprinting or 2-week action plans inside of Asana, how we do recurring tasks, managing the My Tasks area, and some of my favorite tips and tricks with Asana. Now, since this is a podcast, there is no screen sharing component of this, but I think by talking through this verbally and talking about more of the strategy and thought process behind how we're using it, it's going to be even more impactful because you'll be able to apply this strategy not only to your own Asana, but I really think a lot of this can be applied to any project management system that you're using, since so many of them have a lot of the similar features these days. So first, I think the best thing to start out with is the structure, how we have it organized, because I think sometimes a project management system can very easily get overwhelming. We can have a million projects, we can have too few, we can have tasks in places that are confusing. So what we really want to make sure we do in Asana or any project management system is have enough of a structure so that we know where to go to find what we want to find, how to see our own tasks without necessarily having to click through too many places. So we keep it really simple. We have 4 teams inside of Asana. So if you're not familiar with what a team is inside of Asana, it's basically a designated area where you can share access to this team to certain team members. I still love using the team structure, even when I'm a solopreneur, when it was just me, because it gave me that higher level organization of where things were living. So it's kind of just like a little subsection to keep all of your projects organized. So we have 4, and my team does not have access to all 4 of these. So I'm going to explain what those are, why we have them. And these 4 sections or teams are actually different than when I was using Asana for many years. For a long time, I was structuring these differently. But this new way of structuring has been really simple and easy and helpful, and has, for us, struck that nice balance of enough structure and not too much. So the first team we have is called projects. So very simple. This is where our 90-day projects live. So they have a very clear start and stop point. So this is things like doing the Solo to CEO Masterclass that we did in July. This is like migrating to Kartra. This would be anything that's just a very specific project that we are working on as a team for the next 90 days. So we have the team section where all of our time-sensitive, timely projects live. I have really enjoyed having all of our 90-day projects in one place because for me, I'm in a bit of a different mindset when I am doing project work versus when I am doing ongoing work. I'm going to actually go into way more detail on how we structure projects for the 90-day projects in just a second, but I want to give you the high-level overview of the 4 teams first. So the first team is projects where our 90-day projects live. The second one is areas. So this is things that are more ongoing in our business, things that are systemized and constantly being taken care of. So for us, this would be things like marketing, doing this live stream, doing the podcast, posting it to YouTube. That is an ongoing process internally. So we have an area for marketing that also includes any recurring tasks like scheduling Instagram posts and things like that. We also have inside of our area, another example would be the programs that we run. So Empowered CEO has its own project within areas. And that's because it's an ongoing program that there's daily, weekly, monthly tasks always happening. It's not a project in our sense of the language. It is an ongoing area of our business. Same thing with private coaching clients, as well as operations. So any customer service, administrative tasks, all of that happens within the operations area, which is when our area team. Hopefully this is making sense. Now, my team has access to both of those teams. So the projects team and the areas team, everyone on my team has access to. I feel like I'm saying the word team a lot, and hopefully it's not confusing. The third team is a private area. So this is called the executive team. And there's not very many projects within this team, but this is private because this is my space as the CEO, as the executive, if you will. This is still related to the business, but it may have confidential or private information that not everyone on the team needs to have access to. So I usually have some CEO tasks in there, paying invoices, checking and reviewing our books, meeting with my accountant, paying off our credit card, things like that. Any financial or human resources related tasks, or even just some higher level stuff. As you build your team, there may be those things that you as the CEO are focused on that don't really affect your whole team. So I like to have this private area where I can have those tasks set aside so I don't forget them, but without necessarily affecting the entire team. Then I have our fourth team in Asana is also a private area that's called personal. So this is where all of my personal tasks like giving our dogs their monthly medicine, renewing a driver's license, buying a birthday gift, planning a party, anything like that is happening in the personal team within Asana. So those are the four teams: projects, areas, executive, personal. And Asana calls it a team. So if that's confusing, you can just think of it as a little section of your Asana. So hopefully that's making sense. If you're here live and you're listening to me as I'm recording this, feel free to let me know in the comments if that is clicking for you. And if you are watching the replay, listening to this on your podcast, or even on YouTube, feel free to let us know in the comments as well if that is making sense. Now, as far as how we actually structure our 90-day projects, we kind of have a basic recipe that no matter what the project is following, it's going to have these same components. So we love using the board view in Asana, but you can absolutely do this as a list. But we always have a section in our projects, our 90-day projects, for key dates. So this is really important for promotions or anything that's happening external. Is just making sure everyone is aware of the different dates. So when you're going to start promoting something, when the emails are going out, when the cart opens and closes, any kind of milestones or key dates associated with this project, we like to make sure we have set those aside. Those are not even assigned to anyone, but they are marked at the very top of our project. Key dates for everyone to see. I usually even color code them red so that they stand out on the calendar view. And that way we can see these milestones of the project. And this is usually the first part of project planning that I do. I usually start with identifying these milestones and key dates. So every project we're working on in Asana that is a 90-day project, not an ongoing project, has that key dates section. Then we always have another section that is like quick links or important info, important links. Sometimes we change the name, but the point of it is that as a team, we have quick access to a Google Drive folder, quick access to, a file in Canva, the Zoom link for the weekly coaching call, anything like that, that we just want to be able to quickly jump in, grab it, move on. We like to put those there. If you're doing, again, a launch or a promotion, you might have a quick link or an important link for the registration page, the sales page, the thank you page, things like that you just want quick access to. We always make sure we have a section for that. It really makes my life so much easier as I'm working through tasks. And I think it makes things really clear for the team as well, since there are multiple people working on each project. If anyone needs the registration page, they don't have to ask in Slack. They can just find it right there. Then when it comes to the actual tasks for getting a project done, we will structure that very differently based on the project, because every project is a little different, but we will always make sure to use the sections or boards feature to keep it organized. So when it comes to the execution of a project, sometimes you can think about it in phases. So there's maybe pre-launch, pre-promotion, pre-launch, launch week, post-launch. Sometimes I like to think about projects in these phases. Sometimes you may want to just break it down into categories like emails and pages to make and live streams to do. I think everyone's brain can work a little bit differently there. And I don't think every project has to be structured the exact same way, but we always make sure we're using sections and the different boards you can have in Asana to keep things as organized as possible. And then my rule with project planning, especially for these 90-day projects that we're actively working on, is I always want to make sure we are assigning a due date and an assignee to every task that we're building out. And even for those of you who are maybe solopreneurs and working on your business alone, I still would assign yourself to the task and a due date, because I want you to start using the My Tasks view, which we'll talk about in a second, because this is where you're going to actually be able to see all of your to-dos in one place and keep things organized. So sometimes I think we get in the habit of just throwing a task in there and not assigning it to ourselves or a team member and not assigning a due date. And that is just going to float there and get forgotten. So for projects in particular, we do want to make sure we are assigning it to someone so that someone can take action on it, whether it's you or a team member. So that's kind of how we run our 90-day projects. Those are the key components we have in our project management system for each 90-day project. I did want to talk about the idea of sprinting. If you have worked with me before or listened to the podcast or come to any 90-day planning workshops I've done, I love recommending the 2-week action plan, also known as a sprint, for people with smaller businesses, in particular, solopreneurs. Anyone can do it, but I think it is such an incredible tactic for those of you with smaller teams in particular, because you can all have a very clear understanding of what to work on right now. And as a solopreneur, that really saved me and helped me keep moving forward without getting overwhelmed by the scope of the project. We as a team still love sprinting. We don't do it all of the time. But if you want to incorporate these 2-week action plans into your project planning, you can absolutely have a project for the sprint as well. So honestly, I've done this a lot of different ways. Sometimes I'll have a project for each 2-week action plan. Sometimes I'll have one project that has a section for each 2-week action plan. So again, I think this may be a little bit of trial and error and experimenting and seeing what's working for you and your team, but you can absolutely incorporate that action plan process into Asana as well. And thanks to the board view and the list view and the calendar view, it's really easy to do that. So I just wanted to address that you can do that. So that's kind of how we do the projects. And now I want to kind of talk a little bit more about some of my favorite tips and tricks and methods that we use to make Asana work for us and our team, especially since it's not just me now. There are 3 to 4 of us at any given time in Asana doing things. So one thing I really recommend doing, especially in the areas where you have ongoing work happening in your business, is to leverage the recurring tasks. I love that Asana has really flexible and I just feel like there's so many options with recurring tasks. It can be certain days of the week, certain intervals. You can kind of come up with any interval you want. And so we have a ton of recurring tasks happening because a lot of business, especially what you're delegating, is recurring work that just needs to get done on a daily, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly basis. And so we absolutely have a lot of those. And we even use recurring tasks within our projects. So for the Solo to CEO Masterclass we just did, we had some recurring tasks that were related just to the masterclass. Most of that was Paris and Sam, checking if people need to get added to the group in the morning, sending direct messages in the afternoon. So they had a lot of recurring tasks that were only for a limited time during that project, but it was great. So recurring tasks are wonderful because there's so much that needs to happen on a recurring basis. And if you don't make a task for it, it's really easy for that to slip through the cracks and you forget to plan it into your day or your week. So I love doing the recurring tasks. Now, I do just want to go ahead and pause right here and let you guys know that if you're geeking out with me over Asana and you really want some support in using Asana for your business, then I do recommend my really good friend, Louise Henry. She has an Asana course called Uplevel with Asana. You can go to meganmins.com/Asana to check that out. You can actually watch a webinar that Louise and I did together about Asana. And I Love Louise. She and I are very like-minded with how we structure and leverage Asana, and she and I geek out over it all the time. So I just want to go ahead and throw that in there, that if you're looking for more support with Asana in your business, go to meganmins.com/Asana. You can watch that webinar and you can learn more about Louise's program if that's something that you're looking for. Okay, so when it comes to task management for yourself, I think that we can all relate to looking at a to-do list that's way too long and that's completely unmanageable and unrealistic. And I think if you let it stay that way and get to that point, you will stop using your project management system, regardless of what system you're actually using. And the only way to not get in that situation is to intentionally not let it happen. And when it happens, to course correct and make some shifts to clean things up. So there's a few different ways we do this. We have a policy in our company, and you have to hold yourself to this as well, is that at the end of every day, we all update our to-do list. So even if you had 10 things due today and you couldn't get to all 10, what you don't want to do is go to bed, wake up the next morning and see 5 overdue tasks and have that happen over and over and over again. Suddenly you have 30 overdue tasks and you don't even know where to go first and you're overwhelmed. It just won't work. It's going to break. So I would recommend having a rule for yourself that either before you wrap up work for the day or as the first thing you do in the morning, the next day when you sit down to work, is to update all of your due dates and don't let any tasks stay overdue. Doesn't help you, stresses you out. The red causes anxiety. So let's just change it. And then what you want to do is go to your My Tasks view and we want to reassess what else is on your plate for today, for tomorrow, for this week. And we want to adjust things. We are human. It is perfectly normal to need to readjust when something is going to happen, to reprioritize and recommit. And sometimes that means we don't do everything we initially set out to do. Maybe we scale back some things. That is okay. We don't have to pretend to be perfect humans, but we need to go that extra step to update the due dates, reevaluate, and recommit. So not only should you have a rule for yourself and your team about this daily maintenance of the due date, but then you want to make sure everyone is going to their My Tasks view, which is a built-in view in Asana. And what I like to do is, if you've ever used Asana and you go to the My Tasks view, you'll notice that next to every task, there's a little icon where you can decide if something is due. It's not even the due date. It's like a special designation only here is to change it to today, tomorrow. I think it's today, upcoming, or later. I believe those are the 3 sections. I don't have Asana open as I'm sharing this, but I absolutely love using that to keep the My Tasks view organized. So I'm always checking the My Tasks view and I'm making sure every task that's assigned to me, I either designate as today, upcoming, or later. And what's great about this is that Asana will actually move tasks forward for you intelligently. So that means that if you put something in later and it becomes something that's due within, I think it's within 7 days, it automatically bumps it up to upcoming. And then once it becomes due today, it bumps it up to today. So when you're leveraging these, Asana can keep reminding you of stuff and help you see what's coming up for you. So I would recommend doing that. And then my other thing that I like to do in the My Tasks view is to add my own sections, which is a built-in feature in the My Tasks view. You can just click a button to add a section and I will organize the tasks that I'm doing today. And the way I organize them is truly based on what my brain needs that day. It's not the same every single day. Some days I don't need the sections and I'm cool. Other days when there's a lot happening and it's a very high focus, high outcome day, I will create sections for like high priority, moderate, and low priority. Sometimes I'll go like first thing, then this section, and then like if time, I'll do this section. Sometimes I'll group them by like the bigger picture or my way of working. If this is like all creation, I'll put all like creation tasks in one area. If this is all like making decisions, I'll put those in one section. So again, let it be a little bit fluid and flexible since it's only your only your section is this My Tasks view, but make sure you're leveraging that section capability and organizing your tasks in a way that's going to help you focus and take action more intentionally. And again, see when you just have an unrealistic list for yourself today and move things around. Sometimes when it comes to moving things around, I like a visual aid as well. And in the My Tasks view, you can also go to the calendar view and you could see things color coded based on your projects, which I of course love. And sometimes I will just drag and move things around based on that, which can be really, really helpful for those of you who need the visual context of how much is happening for you that day and what else is going on. So those are some of my favorite ways to maximize, leverage, and keep organized the My Tasks view. So that's what I really like. And when it comes to how long it takes to keep this organized, I find that when I actually do this on a daily basis, it takes, I want to almost say 2 minutes, but it takes 5 minutes at most to keep this organized because I'm just making quick decisions. Can I do this today? Yes or no. Can I do it tomorrow? Yes or no. And then sometimes when you have a team, there might be a ripple effect. So if I was supposed to do something today and it didn't get done, then I do need to go the extra step of not only moving it to tomorrow, but maybe I need to communicate that to the team member and say, hey, I wasn't able to get to it today. Is it okay if I get my part done before lunch tomorrow? And then you can take it over. So of course, there's some nuances there for those of you who are growing teams and are working with other people that we want to make sure we're always communicating really effectively. But I find that the daily maintenance of your tasks is key because then it never becomes overwhelming. And I like to do weekly planning. So I kind of pre-plan my week in a lot of time in Asana as well at the beginning of the week. So if you kind of want to spend a little bit more time doing it, you can always do that as well. Okay, so that was a lot about the My Tasks view. Hopefully that was really helpful. I think the My Tasks view and using those designations Asana provides for you can be so, so helpful to staying organized and really easily seeing what you're working on. Okay, so one of my other tips and things that we do as a team that's really, really helpful is the fact that my assistant, Paris, manages our inbox. And I never open our support inbox at all because I don't want to. Email response time is my personal weakness, which is why it's the first thing I always outsource and get support with. And so I don't want to have to go into the support inbox to answer an email. For me, I have a team. That is an inefficient use of my time unless it's a special circumstance. So what Paris and I do, Paris again is my operations assistant. What we do is in our operations area, we have a special section that is like about the inbox. And so what Paris will do is assign a task to me there that says like, please review so-and-so's email or let me know how to respond or whatever it needs to say. And what she will use is this free Gmail extension called Streak. Now, Streak is a Gmail extension. It has a ton of capabilities and features that we actually don't really worry about as a team. But the thing that's really cool is Streak allows Paris to create a link that's sharing the email. So what she can do in the Asana task is put the link to that email in the description, and I never have to go into the support inbox to find and dig around and find the right email. I can click the link from Asana. It opens a preview of it in a different tab. I can review the email, come back to Asana, type my notes for what I want Paris's response to be or some bullet points for her, reassign it to her, and then she can take it from there. So this allows me to really leverage my virtual assistants and my team to make sure we're not bottlenecking the response time on our inbox without me having to go in to reply to it myself. So that's a little trick for those of you who are working with virtual assistants who really don't want to be in the inbox. This can be a great way to use Asana with a tool called Streak to not have to jump into the inbox and find a certain email. So that's been really, really helpful for us. Another integration that can be really great is Google Drive. And Asana does have a built-in integration with Google Drive where when you go to attach a file to a task, you can actually click Google Drive, log into your Google Drive, find the file, and link it that way. So it's absolutely a great option. Sometimes I just grab the link straight from Google Drive because I usually have it open anyways. And so either way, you can just pull the link and drop it in your task or manually attach it. I haven't found one to be better than the other. If we're ever linking the task, linking a Google Drive file or folder to an Asana task, I do just make sure to put the link in the description so that it's easy to find. So you can do either of those options. That's about the extent of Google Drive integration we do. It's just linking to it manually or using the built-in integration. Another integration that's great is Slack. We use Slack as a team to communicate with each other on a bit more of a casual basis. We try to keep our task-related questions that aren't time-sensitive in Asana. Just tag each other there, use the built-in communication to keep things organized. But there are going to be times where we have a little bit more of a time-sensitive thing happening while we're jump over into Slack. And that's just where we're hanging out a lot during the day. So we have integrated Asana and Slack. Right now, we're not even using that to the fullest potential, but what we are doing is we just have a straight connection. So for me, what that means is that in the sidebar of Slack, there's like an Asana channel for me, and I get notifications every time someone assigns me a task or changes a due date or leaves a comment. And so I do get those notifications in Slack. But I think it's really important to only do that if you don't have major distraction issues, because I am very intentional about how I'm spending my time and when I'm in messaging and communication mode and when I am in focus work mode. And so if you're the type of person who gets really easily reactive and distracted when you're working and you have that integration open, you would just want to make sure you 100% close Slack and Asana when you're doing that focused work. I do that anyways. I recommend it. But if you're the type of person who's a hard time closing those apps, just know that integration is going to give you more notifications and it might lead to distractions. So wanted to throw that out there, but it is there. And I do think you can do some more advanced integration with Asana and Slack. I think you can reply to things straight from Slack. I think you can customize that. We just haven't really felt the need to go that extra step. But those are some really helpful integrations and other tools that you can use with Asana to make it even more impactful. So as a recap of kind of what we do in Asana, we have those 4 areas. Now I'm saying areas all the time. We have the 4 teams in Asana: projects, areas, executive, personal. Then we are really intentional about how we structure our 90-day projects to make it easy to find certain links and folders and really clear on the key dates for every project. Then we're using the recurring tasks feature a lot so that we always know what needs to happen on a daily, weekly, monthly basis for all different parts of the business. We are leveraging the My Tasks area to stay organized and prevent overdue due dates from stacking up. We will occasionally use sprinting or 2-week action plans as well when we are really in a period of intense focus and need to kind of simplify what we're looking at in Asana. And I have my assistant Paris use Streak to let me see emails that she needs help with. We use the Slack integration and we use the Google Drive integration. So I think those are most of the things we talked about today. I hope you thought that this was helpful. I hope hearing a little bit about the behind the scenes of how we are both setting up and managing our project management system is helpful. If you would enjoy more information about Asana, feel free to let me know what kind of questions you have or what issues you're running into. I love talking about systems and operations and how you can use tools like Asana to keep the business organized. And of course, if you want some hands-on tutorials, feedback, support, and like a step-by-step guide for how to use and set up Asana for your business, I would recommend my friend Louise Henry's course called Up Level with Asana. And we actually have a free webinar that we did together. And you can go to meganminns.com/Asana to learn more about that. So thank you so much for listening. I also want you to know we have a free Facebook community. So if you're not already in our group, Empowered Entrepreneurs, then please join. It's the most fun place. You can go to meganminns.com/community. I do these weekly live streams of the podcast in that community. People ask questions, we share resources, and it's where we are hanging out as a team and a community. So again, go to meganminns.com/community to get invited and get accepted into this amazing community. Thank you again for listening, and I will see you in the next episode. Thank you for listening to the Productive Life podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, it would mean so much to me if you would share your biggest takeaway on your Instagram stories or wherever you hang out. This helps me understand what you find the most helpful so that I can make more episodes and resources like this. If this podcast has helped you at all, please take just 1 minute to leave a review on iTunes so that we can help spread the word about the Productive Life podcast with others who may enjoy it. And last but not least, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast to get the latest episodes sent to you directly. To learn how to work with me one-on-one or get instant access to freebies, trainings, templates, workshops, and more, be sure to go to meganminns.com right now. I'll see you in the next episode.